and a warm welcome to today's listeners. Allow me to introduce myself as the host of today's episode. My name is Amanda Dounis. I'm the founder of the Positive Thinking Clinic located at Wallow Creek, Sydney. Here at the Positive Thinking Clinic, I see clients of all ages. I see individuals, couples, families, and small groups. I conduct psychotherapy and use a variety of modalities delivered through counselling techniques and hypnotherapy. I am a professional counsellor, clinical hypnotherapist, and strategic psychotherapist. I'm an early childhood teacher and an NLP master practitioner. To learn more about what I do and what I offer, visit my website www.positivethinkingclinic.com.au. The easiest way to connect with me on social media is to search my name, Amanda Dounis, or my clinic, Positive Thinking Clinic. You may also access my social media at the bottom of my website. I am the author of My Coping Skills Handbook, aimed at kids aged to 12 years of age. I have also turned this into an online course. I have a range of podcasts that can be found on amandadounis.podbean.com. In addition to the Positive Thinking Clinic, I am the owner of 4 early learning centres. I am passionate about quality care and emotional wellness of all ages. I believe we set the foundation for emotional wellness from a very young age. My early learning centres are licensed as Positive Living Skills Services. I also have an emotional wellness and kids Facebook group. One of my greatest hobbies is learning. I think I am always enrolled in a variety of courses, no matter how small. I enjoy adding to my skill set. As an integrative therapist, I learn diverse skills and select the best fit for any situation. If you wonder if I have any other hobbies, I am also into fitness. I have run a number of marathons, including 2 ultra marathons. So that's me in a nutshell. If you want to get in touch, you can use the contact form on my website, positivethinkingclinic.com.au. I would love to hear from you. Signing out and moving forward. You're listening to Amanda Dounis. Joining us today is Cheryl Duffy. Cheryl Duffy is from the Divorce Tango Pty Ltd, and her company is actually virtual. She's a one-stop shop for divorce, referral to lawyers, mediation, mediators, counsellors, coaches, and financial planners. She has a co-parenting program to help parents create successful co-parenting relationships. Cheryl is a certified divorce coach. She is an accredited mediator. She is author of The Divorce Tango and founder of the Divorce Centre. You can find out more about Cheryl at www.thedivorcetango.com.au and www.thedivorcecentre.com.au. You can find her on Facebook through The Divorce Tango, and you can also find her through Instagram, Divorce Tango, and Twitter by searching Divorce Tango. She has written the Divorce Tango book, and it is available on her website. Cheryl has also created the Co-Parenting with Civility program, and that's available on her website as well. Cheryl Duffy is the founder of the Divorce Centre, author of The Divorce Tango, certified divorce coach, and accredited mediator. She enjoys helping people find the courage and the confidence through their divorce journey, returning men to professionals or referring men to professionals as required to minimize cost and also to accelerate their recovery. Cheryl has a keen passion to help others through volunteering overseas and being involved in international projects, director for the Directory E-Club of Greater Sydney to make a difference to the impoverished communities of developing countries. In the past, Cheryl was with IBM. She was part of the Asia Pacific Driving Leading Transformational Program, a very big step across Asia Pacific. But the hardest change that she ever had to manage was her divorce. After an 8-year hellish recovery, she transformed her life and made it her mission to help others going through divorce so that they didn't waste 8 years of their life. Cheryl says, I help those embarking on their divorce to be empowered and also help those who are stuck and unable to let go so that they can create the life that they deserve. Cheryl would like to publish another book to help adolescents through the impacts of divorce and teach them how to cope when their parents are not coping so that they can avoid the conflict that they're impacted by two worrying parents. A high school roadshow to help kids through the impact of divorce. The easiest way for our listeners to get in contact with Cheryl is through the divorcetango.com.au. Thank you. Hi, Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. And although I've introduced you as thoroughly as I know, I think our listeners would absolutely love to hear from your mouth what you can offer and what your strengths are. Can you please let us know a little bit more about you?
Okay, so thank you, Amanda. I'm the founder of the Divorce Centre. So I've got my accreditation as a mediator. I'm a certified divorce coach and the author of the bestseller, The Divorce Tango. So what I do for people is making sure that they're put with the right professional at the right time throughout their divorce. That enables them to minimise their cost and accelerate their recovery. So I help them during and beyond divorce so they can rebuild their life.
You know, just before you go on there, it's so extremely important the role that you play here. I'm in the early childhood industry and I've been there for the last 20 or so years. And so I've been exposed to many families who have encountered that rocky road. And I see the value in what you do and what you have to offer, because if this part of their journey is not done smoothly, the kids are impacted, so are the families themselves or the adults themselves as well. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, with the families, I run a co-parenting with Civility program. I come across so many families who have such toxic relationships because there may be exes that want to punish the other person for turning their world upside down, or they're just, not separating the way they feel about the breakup with their co-parenting responsibilities. And who are the victims in that? The children. So I have the co-parenting with Civility program that helps them to be able to be good role models, be their best selves, reduce the conflict so that it minimises the impact on the children.
That's so good to know. Can you give me a snapshot about what the co-parenting program actually involves? Like, how long is it? How do they get in contact with you? Is it both parents at the same time?
No, I don't encourage both parents to be there at the same time. I have each parent in a different program. So programs can be 12 weekly program that's one night per week, or if they're wanting to, which I have a lot of people coming and saying, look, I'm going to court, very, very soon. I don't have 12 weeks. So I do have weekend programs that do 2 4-hour blocks on a Saturday and Sunday. So they're able to get their program completed and be able to have their completion certificate, which demonstrates to the courts that they're really committed to a successful co-parenting relationship.
So overall, it's about eight hours, is it?
8 to 12 hours. The weekend one's 8 hours and the weekly one's 12.
And what kind of a response do you get afterwards? What are the outcomes achieved?
Well, people are saying that even throughout the program, particularly obviously the 12-week one, because I do the positive mindset and reducing the conflict, we go through various scenarios that they've had in the past, have in the present, and what they anticipate in the future. And we work through various options of different alternative ways of dealing with that conflict to get a better outcome. So I've had so many people say, oh, you know, the drama has reduced, conflicts reduced, we're getting along a lot better, having this formal sort of business-like transactional relationship, which is, you know, reducing a lot of drama. So they're seeing the benefit.
So it becomes more like a professional relationship rather than an emotional one.
Yeah, it's like the business of divorce as opposed to, you know, having this relationship which is fractured. It's separating out how they feel about the other person, about how the breakup happened. It's completely separating that and focusing totally on being a good co-parent.
Yeah. And I guess at the end of the day, that's what you're left with. All the yucky stuff ends up being in the past, but the co-parenting is there today, tomorrow, yesterday, and in the future. So I guess they really need their skills from a professional like
Yes.
yourself so that they can be guided to at least say that they've done it as best as they know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that co-parenting relationship goes for years and years and years until the kids are like 18 and beyond. If you can try and have a successful co-parenting relationship, it sets you up for the future. But if you start off and you allow it to become toxic and damaged, it's very hard to claw that back. So I try to get parents who have just separated so that we can then get them on the right track to have a good co-parenting relationship.
That's right. And it's really important that kids that are living in both homes get to experience the same love, attention, comfort, stability that can be achieved.
Yes.
I know there's
Well,
a
it's about,
myth,
sorry.
an old school myth is that kids can't be in two different homes, it disrupts them. But quite often, being in the one home and in a dysfunctional parenting relationship is more harmful to children when you actually can achieve two healthy homes.
Absolutely. So they're happy homes and loving homes, and the kids just thrive in that environment. So kids need both parents in their lives. It's not good for them to not have a parent absent from their life because it can affect them in their own romantic relationships into the future. So it's good for them to have both parents heavily involved in their life and having a good, strong relationship with both parents. Because if they are alienated from a parent, it takes such a long time for that bond to be re-established later on down the track.
And that's such a valid point that you've made. In my clinic, quite often when I am speaking with adults and they tell me the story, they may be in here for depression or anxiety or habits that they need to break. But
Yeah,
they tell me the story quite often how they were separated from their parents or one parent, or their parents got divorced, or they had to live in a dysfunctional style family dynamic relationship. And they may be 40 years old at this point or 50, and they're still bringing that into the therapy room. Goes to show how important it is to have a program like yours available for those who seek it, for their children.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because for kids to grow up in a home that's full of conflict just is so damaging to their development, their behaviours.
Mm.
It doesn't set them up for a good future. They need to be able to thrive in their environment.
And how about when you're in a situation like this where the two parents, one is saying, oh no, we're coming to this program because he needs to change or she needs to change. That's not the fact at all, is it? We need to change ourselves, our own
Absolutely.
behaviors. And you
Yeah,
teach
because we
that in your
can't change.
program.
Yeah, we can't change our ex's behavior, but we can change how we respond to it. And it's good if both parents attend the program on different time slots, so that they can both learn how to handle the emotional stress they're under, learn how to be good role models, be their best selves, and be able to work with the conflict scenarios and get the better outcome. Now, if one parent decides, no, I'm not doing it, then at least the other parent can do the program and not be in battle all the time with the other parent, because they develop skills to be able to not buy into the drama, to handle those different conflict scenarios so that they can respond differently instead of reacting, flying off the handle, getting mad because they're just so annoyed with their ex. It's strategies to enable them to respond in a different way so that they can make sure that they can have a civil relationship.
Absolutely. It's about filling up our toolkit with coping
Yeah,
skills. And like you said, it's the reactions that often cause all of the drama. And
yes,
you may not have both parents willing to do this program. Conflict occurs and they may not agree to participate, but still it's still good enough even if one participates, because that one, he or she, can still learn their skills and learn to be that co-parent as best as they know how, and to minimize conflict.
yes, exactly. And they do influence the other one. So if you can calm things down, then it diffuses the other person's behavior, because I find there's lots of parents, it's tit for tat, like one will say something, it escalates, the other one tries to punish by saying this or doing that. So it just continues to escalate constantly between the two of them. But if one can be that calming influence and just making sure that it's very kids focused, then it has that effect of influencing the other one to calm down and let's just focus on the needs of the children. You know, it's not about us, it's about the needs of the kids.
That's right. I remember once educating myself under empowering parenting, and one of the courses that I undertook there, they spoke of um, conflict, but in terms of parties.
Yeah,
And it's like, so you don't have to attend every party that you're invited to. And it
yes,
wasn't just aimed at the kids, like when teenagers come and they want to show their hostility, their anger, or they want to pick a fight with mum or dad. And they say to parents, you don't have to attend that party just because your child is inviting you. Same goes with adults. When it's tit
yes,
for tat and a bit of resentment and one wants to trigger something, we don't have to attend the parties that we're invited to by our ex-partners.
absolutely. And the exes are always trying to push your hot buttons. And that's something we learn in my program, what your hot buttons are, know when they're being triggered, and not buy into it, because they're trying to basically get a reaction from you that they can then use as evidence against you as being overreactive, emotional, aggressive. So it's very, very important to have control over your own actions, know a lot about yourself and how you respond in conflict.
Yeah, that's right. Tell me about your book.
So the Divorce Tango basically helps people through and beyond divorce. So it's my story, it's got case studies in there with interviews I've done with other people who have gone through divorce and advice they offer. I also have interviews in there with lawyers and counsellors and so forth, giving their information and advice, their professional advice in the book, so that it helps people who are just starting out on divorce, their world's turned upside down, and it gives them a guide to how to get through it and understand what emotions they're going through and what to expect, basically.
Yeah, that becomes a real handy handbook, so to speak. a
Yeah.
point of reference, something to turn to, something reliable, a good source.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I understand that you're also wanting to do another book.
Yes. So I see out there there's lots of information, lots of books for young children. But when it comes to teenagers, there's not really anything out there. So I'd like to either write a book or create another program that is for adolescents where it can be, used by schools or it could be run by the divorce centre so that parents are really worried about their teenagers. They can see if they'd like to put their teenagers through the course so that the children sort of understand what's happening, because it's something that's sort of put on them that they're out of control, it's happening to them. So giving them some help to get through it, and very, very important that they don't then be used as the messenger to, I find there's teenagers that step up and take the place of the missing parent, especially if there's a parent that's struggling to cope. That eldest child tends to step into those shoes to take on that responsibility to help that grieving parent. And, there's just things that go on in the family structure whereby if one parent's gone, then that teenager just takes on that responsibility. So it's important for them to sort of understand the boundaries that they set when they're the family's going through divorce.
Absolutely. I must say, I do have a lot of kids and teenagers that come through my clinic. And one of the most stuck emotions I see with our teenagers is anger.
Yes,
And I really believe this is a critical time, even for teenagers who are not experiencing parents who are divorcing or family dysfunction. Still, it can be a difficult time just because they're teenagers and there's so
absolutely.
much changes happening in their bodies, their minds, their hormones. They're it's just life. So already they're being challenged. And when I have had kids here who are in a situation where their parents are being divorced or are divorced, I see that what their parents think is best for the children often have a different view and often feel that they haven't been understood or often
Yes,
feel that it's not fair. And so there's a real lack of communication, or shall I say, assumed knowledge.
yes. Yes, they're needing
That's
to be heard. So their voice is needing to be heard, and the parents need to make sure that they're listening to the needs of the kids, not just thinking, "Oh, this will be better for them."
Yeah, and that's why I think that's a great idea to have this opportunity for kids in this situation to be able to access a resource like that, at least a model or a formula to follow, a protocol, something like that. It's really, really important because soon they will be adults.
Yes,
And
yeah,
how much of
definitely.
an impact will this have had on them? What will they
Yeah,
carry with them through the course of their life when they become parents?
yes,
When they've experienced such conflict between their parents and they have a taste of that in their own marital life or adult relationships, it's really important that they deal with things at the current moment as healthy as
yeah, definitely.
possible so that they can learn their coping skills and what their triggers are and what they need to deal with.
Yes, and also learning about, what about the healthy mind activities to have a positive mindset and be able to look at conflict and how to manage it without reacting, and being able to be having good problem solving skills as opposed to them not being equipped for life's challenges. So, if they're a child of divorce, they will understand and know what they're going through and how they can make changes to be empowered to get through it. But then if they ultimately end up divorcing themselves into the future, they still have those fundamental skills that have been taught to them as teenagers to get through it.
Mm, that's absolutely right. I think at any age we need to always replenish our toolkit our own
Yes.
self-help skills. We are evolving creatures at any age and stage. We are not the same as we were 10 years ago,
No.
5 years ago, 20 years ago. And of course, I'd imagine we will be different in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, etc. Because life itself brings challenges. So what we can deal with today doesn't mean we'll be able to deal with that in 5 years, because we may be faced with a secondary issue, or what
Yes.
we couldn't deal with 5 years ago, we can deal with that today. So it's really important that we have our resource available to us.
Yeah, definitely.
So in my childcare centres, I am still connected with a lot of these families who their kids have grown up now, because I've been in the industry for so long, and I do have families and kids and workshops and everything that happens in my clinic. So I think it's a really nice way for you to be able to connect with therapists such as myself, and I, as an early childhood industry teacher, to be able to have someone like you as a point of reference as well, because I come in contact with parents who need help. Sure, we can be there for, or we can recognize that couples are distressed and they go for relationship counseling. But what about when the divorce has already happened?
Yeah,
You know?
definitely.
So do you
Indeed,
work
that
with
helps.
counsellors as well and therapists? Do you refer on? I know you
Yes,
have
so
a
I
team.
refer, yeah, to all the different types of professionals that people need during divorce. So that's lawyers, mediators, counsellors, therapists, financial planners, and divorce coaches. So yeah, so it's as like a lot of people just go directly to a lawyer, and they sort of get caught up in this battle. So it's much better if they can be with a divorce coach first to become their best selves through the divorce, be empowered, and be able to make it as amicable as possible, and only engage with the lawyers if and when necessary.
Mm. So it's more like a holistic approach.
Yes,
Instead of just going
yeah,
one
definitely.
path, it's not just about signing that paper or taking half or most of, the settlement, for example. It's you got to keep yourself well as well, because it's about co-parenting at the end of it.
Yes, definitely. But it's also securing your security for the future, but not at the expense of your kids. So it's a case of making sure that you're going to be fair and ethical, and you're being your best self, being in this mindset of, I'm going to take him to the cleaners, or not let her get any of it just because they're trying to punish the ex. So it's very important if they can, be able to be helped emotionally to be able to do things amicably and to do it coming from their best self. Because even if they do these things, they can regret it later, if they're doing it in amidst anger and wanting to just lash out. So, they can be battling it out in court and lose thousands and thousands of that family wealth.
Mm.
And, that's, something they could have set themselves up to help them out of divorce at the end, rebuild their life. So it's important not to get caught up in this battle, which ends up costing them, you know, tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's really great that you're available as a coach. And
Thank you.
so for all of our listeners out there, to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
They can go to my website, thedivorcetango.com.au. So they'll be able to contact me there, and they'll be able to get a lot of information off the site of what I do and the different programs I run.
That's right. Your site is so well organized. I had a look through it, and it's very resourceful. And I really encourage anybody that's in that situation, that they want to become their best version of themselves during this difficult time, and as a time to move forward successfully. Doing this co-parenting program is a great idea. Is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know?
Well, I've also launched an accelerated divorce recovery program. So that one helps people, particularly post-divorce, when they've been stuck for years, not able to let go and move on. I was one of those people. So it took me 8 years, as I mentioned, to recover from my divorce. So I help people to be able to let go and move on, build the life they deserve.
You've just launched that?
Yep, just a couple of weeks ago.
And that is not for co-parenting, that's for
That's
getting
for the
unstuck.
parents struggling, the parents struggling to let go and move on.
Okay, so just so I can understand that part. So the co-parenting program is for what we've just discussed, but this new launch is just to get unstuck and move forward with your life.
Yes,
Let go.
definitely.
Wow. Because you can get quite stuck and years can go by.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Until you realize that it's time to move forward and you just didn't know how.
Yeah. You
What does
just
that
keep looking
program
over your.
involve?
So that's basically getting them through to acceptance in the emotional grief and being able to look at what they're afraid of moving forward, what's holding them back. You know, there's usually an underlying issue where they don't feel they were good enough. Their confidence and self-esteem and self-worth has plummeted, particularly people who have been left. So these people are then helped to become their best, to tap into their strengths, to, you know, create a life that is going to give them their full potential and give them all the possibilities of, you know, having a wonderful life ahead.
Just as you said all of that, I do so much of that in my hypnotherapy sessions. When I have individuals who come here who feel stuck, name everything that you just named, and I guess there's counseling sessions and there's hypnotic sessions, and I think both are just as good as each other. But like I said, you reminded me, when I do my hypnotherapy sessions, that's what we work on: getting unstuck, creating the life that you want, finding your self-worth, believing in yourself, knowing you can be the best version of you, moving forward, visualizing you, accepting everything, even forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't make it okay for what any other person has done wrong, but forgiveness sure helps set you free.
Yeah, it releases you from that prison.
Yeah. And that's what
Yeah.
we want.
And
We
my
want to feel
classes, they're all,
free.
yes, definitely. And all my programs are group programs. So I know yours are one-on-one programs, but mine tend to be group ones, so that they're with other people in a group. So there's also that sharing of experience. They're needing the one-on-one support. You know, I do divorce coaching, but obviously you with counselling can get into those deep-seated childhood traumas that divorce has triggered. You know, those painful memories that they have or the trauma they've had in their lives. So I see that, you know, we both play such a critical role in helping people move on and live their life.
Yeah, that's right. There's a method that I've learned as well. It's called timeline therapy. I did that when I was doing my psychotherapy, and it's really about your timeline and your past events. It's a matter of cleaning up your relationship to them. And to be
Yes.
quite honest, sometimes we bring our past events into today's living, because really we
Yeah.
can't change anything that's occurred in the past,
No.
but we can change our relationship to it. And it's our
Yeah, definitely.
relationship to our events and our old circumstances that keep us stuck. And that's what we need to release. Acceptance, like you said, and a new relationship to what's occurred, so that we can be freed, so that we can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've really enjoyed chatting with you today. I hope our listeners get a lot out of this, and a lot of good guidance and some useful tips. At least they get hope
Yes.
and a point of reference or access. So Cheryl, I'd
Thank you
like to
so
say
much.
thank you.
And thank you for having me today. It's been great.
Thank you so much. You go and have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll chat with you soon.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. Bye.